Aces Up 35. Aces Up episode 35 is live. We are 2 days away from the NFL draft. Dynasty leaguers are excited for rookie landing spots and potential trades, shaking things up in the fantasy football world yet again. With everybody else hammering rookie content this week, I decided to do something different tonight and bring on the Sports Affiliation's own IDP specialist, Mason Riney. After all, I am still a rookie when it comes to IDP leagues, and with the FF7s looming, I could use a good half-hour lesson on IDP. Plus, this will be Mace's first time on Aces Up, which means you, the audience, will get to learn all about his fantasy football journey. Hit the like and the subscribe button, drop any questions and comments in the chat, and enjoy the show. Mace, what's up, man? Welcome to Aces Up. Glad to have you on. What's on your mind this evening, man?
Yeah, just another day in paradise. It's draft week. Tomorrow's my birthday. I got a lot going on just writing for USA Today. I don't know. I'm like 7 classes away from a, let me look at it here, social and behavioral science degree. So if everything goes according to plan, I can transfer out and continue my path on to trying to be a teacher. But that's pretty much it. What's up with you, bro?
Not much, man. I'm excited to do this show with you tonight. Finally got you on Aces Up. Glad you joined the Sports Affiliation for the 2026 season. So I want to talk about a little bit about this past weekend before we get into it. Those of you who listen to me week in and week out know I'm part of an over 30 hockey league. And this past weekend, we had our championship game. This was the first time I've been in the championship in a few years. The last 2 times I lost. I've been in this league since 2016. The league's been running since 1992. It's been long-standing every year, great community. We raise money for charities as well, kind of like Scott Fish, only just a ball hockey community. It's not ice hockey. We play, it's basically street hockey, on foot, ball hockey, over 30. We got guys in their 60s out there, 50s, 40s, and some youngsters. I mean, you got to be 30 years old to get in the league. So, but my first season was in 2016. We won the championship that year, and I had gone a full decade. We're in 2026, and we finally won this weekend, 4-3. It was a great game. We came from behind 3-1. Our teammates, got to shout out the teammates here. We got a little team photo I want to show you guys right here. There it is. This was one of my favorite teams I've played on in the 10 years for sure. And I just want to shout them out. Also, we get to keep the trophy for a week. So I decided the trophy was making an appearance, and it's like 100 pounds. So you got to give me a second. There we go. There it is.
Nice. I think you didn't get it all the way on camera.
No, you can't. If I turn it to the side, let me see if oh, shit. I'm knocking shit over. There we go.
Wowzers. That thing's huge.
Yeah, everybody's name is on it. Each roster that won. It's pretty cool, man. My son told me I couldn't come home without it. So, kudos to my captain for letting me take it first. And that's it, man. I just, I want to bring some entertainment to the show. That was my entertainment for the night. We can get on with the show now, Mace.
Real quick, do you guys get in fights out there? Do you guys have like a team goon?
No. I mean, there is team goons for sure, but no fighting. It's not full contact. Okay. I mean, you can use your body for positioning, but you got to be playing the ball. Like there's rules. You can't just line somebody up and thrash them in the corner and then get the ball. You have to play the ball. Yeah. you have to do the boxing out thing kind of. But right, enough about me. Let's get into you, man. Happy birthday, by the way, tomorrow, April 22nd, right?
Earth Day is my birthday.
Nice. Today is actually my nephew's birthday. He's turning 30. Makes me feel real old. Even though I was 13 when he was born, so my brother got 8 years on me. So yeah, he's down that young man down in Florida who knows what he's doing. I haven't seen him in like 15 years, but he turns 30 today, so I'll give him a shout out too in case he's listening someday. And let's jump right into it. So Mace, give us a little bit about your background, where you live. You could talk about your family if you want. Anything you want to share with us, let the audience know.
Yeah, so I'm from Northern California, Yuba City. It's in between Chico and Sacramento. I do the Scott Fish live draft up in San Francisco. I did in Sacramento last year. There was one this year. But I really got started. So I used to write for a blog when I was in the military. I was in the military from 08 to 17. And when I was in there, I did a couple little jobs, like got paid here or there, whatever. But I could never do anything consistent because obviously I was a soldier and a policeman while doing that. So didn't really have time, but it's something that I always like to do. Like I always grew up playing Madden, trying to scout guys, figuring out who'd be good for my 49ers. Because growing up, man, it was like a tale of two stories. Like I kind of got the end of the golden age of the Niners with like Steve Young. And then it just transferred into like Jeff Garcia. And I was like, okay, all right, it's not so bad. Like life without Young is okay. And then after that, it's like Tim Rattay and, I don't know, just a plethora of guys, Cody Pickett. Like it was just bad, man. So just kind of in my nature as a football fan to actively be seeking out guys that could improve teams to the point to where it just made me want to write. So I started writing, got out of the service, kind of stopped doing that. Once I got back on my feet after the service around kind of when COVID first hit, I needed an outlet. I needed friends to talk to. I didn't have a lot of leagues and stuff that I was doing aside from like my home league that I had. So I started a family league. And then I got out on Twitter and I tried to connect with people. And honestly, dude, at first, no one really connected with me. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, I had like all the essence and all like, the vibes or whatever you want to call it. But like, I really didn't know any outlets. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anything. So eventually I ended up getting in like a Discord or something of that like magnitude, I guess, because no one really talked on Discord in the fantasy community back then. But I ended up getting in with 5 Yard Rush, who was a website overseas. So I'm from California. I'm writing for a place that's over in the UK. And I got my start there. Adam Murph, shout out to him. He's kind of like my Yoda, I guess, in a sense. He kind of challenged me. It was like, well, because he asked me what I wanted to do. I was like, yeah, I want to write about, the Niners or offense. And he's like, well, honestly, like everyone writes about offense, man. He's like, what, like, where's the value? Like, give me something here pretty much. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. He's like, well, what's something that you're really bad at that involves football? And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't want to like say that I'm bad at it, but I always want to get better at scouting. And then I just joined this IDP league and I'm actually pretty garbage at it. I was like, I didn't know what I was doing. Honestly, I traded away TJ Watt his rookie year for Ryan Kerrigan because Ryan Kerrigan had just had like a 16, 18 sack year for Washington. And like I was just chasing last year's stats like a bozo. I just started playing fantasy football. So he challenged me to become an IDP writer. So I did, and I kind of had transparency with my audience. And as I grew, I think they kind of did as well. And it led me to a point where now I write for USA Today for the Buccaneers. I write with the Sports Affiliation. I write for Fantasy and Frames, a bunch of different outlets, kind of all over the map. I've been on PFF, appearing on hosts and stuff. So it's kind of just been one glorious journey. But the starting point was a little rocky. But I mean, it was really cool, man. I got to learn a lot about myself and give respect to the guys out there in the UK that are watching. When I was in the service, I was stationed in Italy for like 3.5 years. And to watch on the Armed Forces Network or, however you were watching online back then, you would have to literally, I mean, it'd be the middle of the night, man, even to watch a UFC fight. It's like 4 a.m. So I'm sitting there waking up 4 a.m, on my off day, hoping that I have an off day, cracking, a Bud Light or whatever German beer I have in my fridge, grilling out there at 4 a.m. watching UFC, dude. But it was just a way of life. But you have to be hardcore to be able to do that because it's not even their main sport anyways. So shout out to 5 Yard Rush and everyone watching overseas for sure.
Nice. Awesome. So hobbies outside of fantasy football. What do we like to do? Play an instrument?
Yeah, I am a horrible bass player. No, I like to look at tabs, play based on vibes and feels. Honestly, it's an emotional outlet. My little brother, my dad, a lot of people, my sister and my family played guitar while I was growing up. I was never into it, man. I was always sports 24/7. If I wasn't playing a sport, I was playing Madden, just throwing the ball to myself, shooting a basketball while laying in bed, that kind of stuff, thinking about the game. So it was once I got out of the service, I finally just said, screw it, I need to do something. And I grabbed a bass and never looked back. And it's kind of cool. It's therapeutic. It's dope. I can play a range of stuff. Nothing too crazy, but it's all right.
Nice. So you can't do like Blind by Korn?
Oh, I mean, I can do that. Oh, I'm definitely a new metal cat, man. So a lot of like Deftones, stuff like that. Kings of Leon I can do. But I also learned, what is this? Sabrina Carpenter song for a friend of mine too, to play just to show the range. Yeah, she was like, can you play anything? I was like, I don't know. And she like said one of them. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll try. So I did. That was pretty cool.
Nice. That's awesome. All right. So when did you actually start playing fantasy football? What year was it? Do you remember how old you were? And can you tell us a little bit about your first draft?
Yeah. So first fantasy football league I was in the service. And it was just like your standard Yahoo league. So the first like actual live draft that I was in, I think it was 2017, probably 2018 when I'd gotten out of the service. Went there with a bunch of friends, and it's not a spreadsheet league, but it's a league where you have to show up with your own rankings and everything because you got to walk up and write a name. Now we have stickers, of course. Obviously, we get the draft kit or whatever from whatever site we decide has the best one. Well, actually, I think there's only one because we have 10 teams, but it goes like 27 rounds or something crazy because it's an IDP league as well. So it goes super deep. So that's kind of cool. But the experience was kind of eye-opening. It was like there was more to it because I was looking for camaraderie, brotherhood, things like that. And like I had that with the friends group that I was in the fantasy league with, but I hadn't been in a fantasy league with them. So to see all, the crap talking, to see which guys were getting drunk the most and making the most outlandish picks earlier in the draft, and then kind of just taking that from year to year and running with it. There's a lot of, I don't know, like coolness in that, I think.
Nice. All right. So how long have you been playing in the FF7s?
I think this is like my fourth year this year going into it. And I still haven't won a division. Dude, every year, and I know he does it randomly, or like you can ask for a league or a division or whatever. I have been in a division of death, dude. Every single year, we all just clawed each other, and one of us finally gets it. I think I missed it last year by like a game or two, and then I think my first year I had a little bit of beginner's luck, but I've never actually like done anything of significance, and I've actually fared better in the Scott Fish Bowl than I ever have in FF7S. It's tough, dude, but I love that format, But a single injury can kill you just because of that roster and how even both sides are.
Right. Yeah, no, that was my first IDP experience. I had a good time. I can't remember if I think I won, either I won the division or Rick won the division.
Okay. I just want a tie-dye shirt, but this is the last year he's doing it.
Rick eliminated me though in the playoffs. So he took care of business, man. He took advantage of me not having Devontae Adams and Drake London for sure.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
Yeah, no. So, he had all of the sports affiliation guys in one division. It was like me, Rick, Rico, and I want to say the other person wasn't sports affiliation, but I know you know who he is. Why can't I think of his name? He's in my GOAT, not GOAT. The GOATs Invitational League. He was in my league for that too. I don't know why I can't think of his name right now, but that was our division. But yeah, no. Fun tournament. Looking forward to that again this year. So let's see. You knocked out a good portion of these questions, talking about your fantasy, your history in the fantasy industry. So we'll jump right to Scott Fish Bowl. How long have you been a part of Scott Fish Bowl?
Oh man, I think since SV11. I think it was my first one, which is crazy because I got in from a contest in like the last wave. I had to make like a video or something. And I ended up winning a spot, dude, in the very last wave. This year, I was in the very first wave. So it was kind of like, just like a whole full circle moment. Like, oh my gosh, I barely got into this, X amount of years ago. And now I'm like on the front runner for it, and I'm part of the live draft. I'm part of the community. I'm integrating fantasy cares. I do a IDP league for them for their eliminators and stuff, and it's the only IDP league they've ever had for it. So pretty dope as well.
Nice. So which live draft do you do?
San Francisco this year. I'm in the Tony Hawk division. I'm drafting 11th.
Nice. I'm doing the live Boston. This will be my 4th year. I've been in it since Scotch Fish Bowl 13. Yeah, we're doing it up in the north end of Boston this year. That's the Italian part of Boston. Bob Gilchrist, Andrew Cooper, them boys, they picked out a nice place. It's
probably get really good food there then, huh?
Yeah, good.
You guys drink wine instead of beer, or like?
Well, I heard the martinis are really good, though.
There you go. Okay.
I'm not a martini guy, but we'll see what happens. I cooled it on the drinking for like the past few months, so
nice.
I had to do like a cleanse, reset. I was becoming like I was doing. It was becoming too much normal behavior, man. I was looking forward. When you're looking forward to it too much, and you realize you're like, I've lost 30 pounds too since I stopped. Cool. Yeah,
good for you.
You definitely reap the benefits for sure. So, but yeah, no. We'll see how it goes. I might have 1 or 2 beverages there, and we're not going to go crazy like we used to, though.
No, if I'm going to stuff, I'm going to have a couple drinks. There's a couple people there who I told them, I was like, I got your first drink. Just because last year, I don't know, that's just how it is. Like, you just take a shot, you talk football, we go on draft, kind of take a break. I mean, obviously, it's not all about drinking. It's about the community, the camaraderie, and then obviously the
raising the money.
Yes, raising the money and helping out your community. But I mean, at the same time, you get to party a little bit, have some fun, and draft football players, man. Last year, I think I made, I don't know, I think it's on top like 2K to 1K. And it's nice just to see your team going week by week, man. But it is such a hard contest to just try to like go out and win. There's so many, every single great mind in the industry is there along with other people. And I don't know, just like a NCAA bracket, right? Like the best minds won't even finish the best. You might get the best team and pick the actual champion. But as far as having a perfect bracket, someone who doesn't know anything will probably have a better chance.
Well, the thing with it is you could have a really good team, but the playoffs, what makes it challenging is the playoffs run through all the bye weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So you could end up with a bye-mageddon that does you in because you got you got to keep up that score that with your average and your total, and you have to cross that baseline, and all it takes is one down week, and then you're sending out that tweet that you've been eliminated.
You start sending out. It's so true, though.
And thank you, Scott Fish, for letting me participate and all that.
He tweets on it all year. I'm happy I'm here. Or no, 3, the draft, and then oh man, I'm out.
Yeah, glad I made the playoffs, but no. So yeah, I got a 3-year playoff streak. I got to keep it going.
Nice.
I'm in the Mayday division. As far as I know right now, it's me, Rick Avery, Matt Wood, and Pete Overzet the last time I checked. And there might be one more name in the one spot. I don't know who it is, though. And his last name is really long, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce it.
I want to butcher it.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, Scott Fish Bowl is awesome, man. Fantasy Football Expo, have you been?
Yes, I've been 1 year. That's actually how I met Greg Kellogg. Amazing human being. Got to show with Iggy there, too. A lot of the people, Wendy, a lot of people from the affiliation, JC as well. Dude, such a good time, such good vibes. I actually got this hat from Canton. Just walking into the Hall of Fame and like seeing people draft, and I wore Jake Moody jersey, so people were like cussing me out for wearing Michigan, and they're like, it was so good, man. It was so much fun. I'm hoping to go back this year. I really, really am.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm hoping to get there. I haven't made anything official yet, but I do plan on going. What's this? I heard JC was talking about getting a house. Have you heard anything about us getting? I mean, I don't want to book a hotel room and then find out you guys are, we're all putting money to.
I was told, if he wants to do that, that would actually probably be best. I think that's the way to go, man, because you're already kind of rolling in a pack together, and then once you get to like the area, then you go out, you mingle and stuff, but it's nice to have like a buddy system there. So, you can rotate Uber, payments or dinner or like whatever, what have you.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. Well, we'll have to hit him up in the Discord chat and see
Yeah,
what's
see what's up.
going
Orchestrate
on
something.
with the nice. So San Francisco 49ers is your team, right?
Yes, my team's all in. Now, I mean, there are other teams that I monitor, like, I don't know, like my mom's team, or I don't know, my mom's team. She told me like 2 years ago, she's a Raiders and a Dolphins fan. I'm like, bro, just pick one, dude. Like, yeah, someone got her a Raiders shirt for Christmas. And I was like, does this person even know you? And she was like, well, actually. I'm like, you're telling me on Christmas you're a Raiders fan, dude? Get out of here. Crazy. But, yeah, I also watch the Buccaneers because I write for them as well. So,
Jamie got a question for you, man. What drafts are you participating in at the expo? If you
I don't. If I am, I'd like to be a part of the Dick Buckus League, the IDP Invitational, but I can't really commit to anything because I don't know if I'm going. So if I am there, then I'll maybe try to catch the Drafters Night Out that they do.
Yeah,
or I'll try to hop into one of those. Or I don't know. There's so many people down there. You could just go to that golf place bar that they have there, and just round up 12 people and have a draft right there.
One thing I noticed about Draft Night Out last year was once Draft Night Out ended, there was people literally putting leagues together from other, all around. So there was, so you definitely, there's fantasy drafts all over the place.
That place has a awesome Metallica pinball machine too that I played for about 45 minutes, I think. Or I did when I went like 3 years ago, man. I was like, yes. Love pinball.
Nice. We have an arcade up in New Hampshire. It's the biggest arcade in the world.
So sick.
Is the pinball room has like, I don't know, probably like 40 or 50 different pinballs, and then there's like a special section, like as you're getting closer towards like when you're walking out, and there's like 10, and it's like vintage ones. It's pretty cool, man. It's impressive. I actually have a picture of it. I sent JC a picture of it last summer. We take the kids up every summer, and I'll have to send you a picture of that.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool,
sure, man. That's sick, dude. I love arcade retro games. I want to get an arcade, or like just a setup, at least one of them, and have like 4 of the controllers on it or 4 of the boards, and then just have like a plethora of games on it or something, and then maybe like a shooter for Time Crisis, but not a tech guy, so who knows.
Nice. So you said 49ers, you caught the tail end of the Steve Young era?
Yeah, my first exposure, to Joe Montana was him as a Chief, unfortunately. So Steve Young is my QB1 personally. I'm not saying he's the best quarterback ever, but it would be Steve Young and then Randall Cunningham and then Michael Vick is like the best quarterbacks that I've ever seen, I think.
Nice. Yeah, no, I enjoyed Steve Young. I like those 49ers teams from the early to mid 90s. I was just starting to learn football during the late 80s, but I do. Yeah, I started playing fantasy football during this. Steve Young was an option.
Okay. Yeah, I was born in '90, so yeah, my first moment was I think I saw Bryant Young do something, and I was like, "Yo, this is awesome!" And then just kind of went from there.
Jamie says he's doing the Adam Vinatieri best ball, man. Jamie can't wait to see you, man.
Kicker league? No, I love Jamie, man. I can't wait to see him. I'm down for a kicker punter league, man. If they could give offensive linemen fantasy points, I'd be down for that too. But that's a tough one.
Awesome. All right, so let's get into the IDP. This is why you're here. This is the first Aces Up episode where we actually gonna discuss some IDP strategy. So I'm looking forward to this. I put together a list of questions that I want to get your opinion on. We'll start right away with basics. In your own words, give us a brief summary of what makes up an IDP league as far as format goes, lineup requirements, scoring systems. What are we looking at here?
So, I mean, there's a wide range of variety what you could do, right? On offense, you could have tight end premium, you could have super flex, blah, 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 every position, no position, kickers, defense. So essentially what you're doing is you're taking the DST position when you're playing offensive only and you're expanding it, right? We're opening it up. So what we're doing is you're adding defensive linemen, you're adding linebackers, and then defensive backs. And that's just your most standard thing. Now, what I had to do for a league, we voted on it Survivor style. I want to vote to 7-6, and I added 4 just IDP flexes. It's a 12-man league, so anyone could just play whoever. The main point is, for an IDP league, you just need to have individual defensive player positions, whether that's 1 or 15. Now, my favorite is when you have true position on both sides of the ball, and then you have flex for both sides. So I'm talking quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and then adding in kicker as well, because I don't know, I like the aspect of kicker. And then having defensive linemen, linebackers, and then corners and safeties to split it out. Now, some guys are hybrid, and you can take advantage of that. But to just, I don't know, you have, like I said, you can expand it out or you can bring it in. Now, just to add in only one IDP spot, like one IDP flex, then I guess that's kind of treating it like a kicker. And it's like offensive with the IDP asterisk. But I'd say, like, you know, at least having 3 flex spots to kind of dip your toes in the water before you move on for your league is a good intro point. I guess that would be like the definitive factor for an IDP league. Now, as far as scoring, you have your fantasy pro scoring, or like your IDP 1, 2, 3. You have your big tackle scoring, and then you have your big sack scoring. So I guess pretty much wherever I've seen, interceptions normally flow between 4 to 6 points, and you'll have sacks and it flow for anywhere from 4 to 6 points. But I think my favorite leagues as far as scoring, you have like 4 points for a sack, 1 point for a tackle, 1.5 for an assist, and then tackle for loss, I think, would be 2, and then pass deflection is 3. And that kind of levels out the playing floor for each one. So you don't just have like one guy drafting 4 linebackers, you know, depending on whatever your league format is.
Right. So I mean, you have linebacker, lineman, and defensive back, or do you split up cornerback and safety? Is that all one?
On Sleeper, I don't think you actually can. On MFL, you can.
Okay.
So it's I don't know if you're new to, or if you're new to it, that's fine. Go ahead. But the thing is that if you have a quarterback specific league, it's like if you get a guy like Gonzalez, or I don't know, like a shutdown corner like a Stingley, he's not going to get a lot of points per se because he's not going to be targeted that much.
Right.
It'll be the guy that's, like, if you have Sauce Gardner, it's going to be the other guy on the other side that's going to be getting the targets and things like that. So you got to be mindful about that as well. If you're getting a corner, maybe get a guy that plays nickelback or a slot corner that's utilized more aggressively, you know?
Okay, cool. So when it comes to draft strategy and roster construction, what's your main goals and priorities in an IDP draft?
Yeah, so I like to use what – I don't know if Greg called it this, but we were talking about it in Canton when I was there because I was picking his brain like every second of the day. A tent pole strategy. So when I was in the service, we'd set up, tents. You got to set up the center, and then you get the corners, right? So what I like to try and do is get one player that is just like my guy, my roster, like almost like a Myles Garrett, if you will, Aiden Hutchinson, a Will Anderson, someone that you can just sit there and forget for the next, hopefully, 5 to 10 years, right? So I know I just named a bunch of edge players. There's a couple linebackers too, and it depends on what part you're in the draft. But first off, you got to stay like water. Like Bruce Lee said, you can't just sit there and be like, all right, these are my 5 guys. If I don't get these guys, then I'm going to pout, cry, and just like completely throw this out the window and screwed. Because there's value in every round. There's value in every player. There's value for everything. And there's also devalue for stuff. So if you have a run on DBs going early, like the second round, then man, that sucks. I'm not going to get a Kyle Hamilton, or a Branch per se. However, there's guys like Antonio Johnson for the Jaguars. And like there's other players who are going to get nickelback, like Upton Stout maybe. Just players that people forget about or don't even consider that you can get literally at the end of your draft. Like you don't have to spend any capital on them. So just knowing and looking at the board and seeing how things are flowing and seeing what managers are looking at and like the trends, you can find yourself a lot of gold.
So when you say nickelback, you basically mean like a defensive back that makes more tackles than being in pass coverage, or?
Yeah, I'm thinking of like a kind of like a free range guy, or like Jalen Ramsey used to play outside. Then they kind of moved him inside to nickel to where he could be with the free flowing guys, or a guy like Jamar Chase who, regardless, is going to get those targets. And then he would be able to, now he's not like a tackle artist or anything like that. That's not what I'm trying to say. But you want to get the guys that are around the ball the most. And for a slot, especially nowadays, you got like Amon Ra, a bunch of these higher profile players now aligning there. You got tight ends, Brock Bowers, McBride getting 100+ targets, getting in the action from the slot, from inside. And sometimes with looks and the way, like how athletic these guys are, they're not like bumping a guy for 2 seconds like a George Kittle and then going out and getting the ball. Now, George Kittle's athletic and he's a freak. But like you have guys that are spread out like Kyle Pitts who are running around like just really big bodied wide receivers. So you have to have a guy who's athletic enough to keep up with some of these guys. And maybe they're not going to bring them down in a sense, like, one-on-one and stuff for like an ankle tackle, but that they're probably better matched up than a lot of these inside linebackers that are in the NFL right now, because I think the NFL has a coverage problem with the linebacker position.
Right. And they're with wanting, with the offenses in the past taking the top off the defenses, we've seen them try to put the stop to the deep ball, and it's kind of opened up the middle. You've seen multiple teams using multiple people in the slot. It's not just a slot wide receiver. Regular wide receivers are getting slot snaps as well. Running backs are going out wide. The slot,
which I hate though. Can I say something real quick? Like if you're gonna put a guy wide out, like how Shanahan will do that, and then Shanahan will like motion him back, and then you just started putting Debo, and like that works, I guess. Okay, whatever. But when you just have a guy out there, and then he's like doing a slant, I'm like, bro, just take him out of the field and put in your, wide receiver 4 or whatever it is. Like, what are we doing here? If there's no motion, don't do that. Okay, sorry.
Right.
It's Coach Powers or Couch Coach over here.
I feel like Sean Payton does it too.
Yeah, that guy will put out 4 running backs at a time, dude. And, he might as well run the wing T.
Nice. All right. So when you're in a draft, when is it appropriate to start targeting the first, your first defensive player?
So normally I don't like to ever be the first to get a defensive player. However, if I want to be like a smart ass or something in like a home league draft, I'll like do it, because like honestly, after like the second round, people will start to like look at me and be like, when's he gonna do it? Because I'm like, IDP guy. But I would say realistically, you have to look at your scoring system. If it is balanced, guys can go as early as the second round, I think. The offensive names definitely carry a lot more weight, I think, in live draft rooms or just draft rooms in general, because that's who people are really used to doing. And then you'll see like an uptake around the second or third round if it is, like I said, balanced scoring. A lot of the bigger name guys going off the board. I usually like to wait until like, I don't know, round 5. If it got super spicy early, maybe I'll, take a back end edge or a back end linebacker who I know is a green dot and is going to get a lot of play, and then kind of wait for the next go and then just kind of build up on my offensive players and stuff. But normally for me, round 7, round 8, if it's balanced scoring, I'm down with that. Might get spicy like round 5, round 4 for a linebacker, like an edge.
Nice. Okay. I've heard pretty much, like round 5, round 4, but they most of the people also gave the same advice. If other players, if other drafters are getting aggressive with it earlier, then it might force the hand, depending on the spot you end up in, I suppose. But yeah, that's good to know. You don't want to be on the clock in the first round and shut out Myles Garrett, right?
Just don't take a DB. If you're going to, then stick by it. And then maybe wait like a long time, because you got a lot of ground to make up on offense, and that's harder to do because I feel like IDP players are cultivated a little bit more so for I don't know, just speaking, because a guy doesn't have to actually be good. Oh, okay, let me take a step back. Everyone who is in the NFL is really good at playing football. Not everyone who plays IDP is the best at their position. That's going to get you a lot of points, right? So, like, I don't know, a guy like Stervalka Dennis, he's like a top 40 linebacker. He blitzes. He'll get stuff from week to week. However, if the Buccaneers go out and draft 2 linebackers and one's an inside and one's an off ball, then you can kind of see the tea leaves there that he's going to be challenged for his job, as well as Alex Anzalone, and they're going to see what's going to happen. So the position changing by a year. If you don't have a big contract or you're not a big name, you might not even be on the team next year. Devin White, perfect example. Dude's not even on a roster. He's top 3 in tackles last year.
Nice. I'm glad you pointed that out, because I feel like there is a lot more turnover with personnel on the defensive side of the ball than there is offense when it comes to teams in the NFL. So that's great to point out. And what exactly are you looking at when you say guy on the outside and the guy on the inside is gonna challenge him for playing time? Like what are you looking at to be able to determine that?
Yeah, so where they get the players from, are they getting them from another team? Are they getting them from the draft? Now, if they're getting them from another team, how much are they signing them for? What was their role in the previous team? Also, how old are they? You can tell, a player like Patrick Queen, he's in the last year of his contract. They have a guy in the wing that's playing LB2 right now because of his athleticism and Peyton Wilson. But obviously, he has a lower contract, so they're going to want to have the next man up. Now, they have Cole Holcomb there in the wings just in case. But everything is really, I like to look at salary and then position previously. Now, if you get a guy in the draft that's going to be a top 1, top 2, top 3 round pick, then I think that carries a lot more weight than a guy that's 4 back end to 7 undrafted free agents. Now, you have your TJ Edwards, guys like that, who are undrafted free agents and then eventually work their way and end up getting, a bag or two along the way of their NFL career. But for the most part, you're going to have guys that are just either going to only get in because of injuries, or they're going to get in just, I don't know, just by waiting around and finally getting an opportunity, I guess. Some teams literally will stack up linebackers and then never play any of them. Like, I don't have any examples right now. But essentially, if you have a linebacker, we'll say stick on Tampa Bay, like Anzalone, he's already kind of done his role in, I don't want to say grooming, that's a bad word, and helping build up Jack Campbell, right? Like for the last 2 years, I think in the IDP community, everyone's like, oh, this is Campbell's year. He's going to break out. He's going to break out because they moved up to get him. So it's like, okay, the writing's on the wall. Anzalone's out, but like Anzalone wouldn't go away. And then even when they tried to give it to Campbell, Anzalone still knows the offense. So he's playing off ball because he's still athletic. So he could also do that for the Buccaneers. He signed a 2-year contract. The Buccaneers also have Soroka Dennis, who is off ball, not off ball, but like he's more so they're going to shoot the gap with him, ask questions later, and have him less in coverage because he's not a very good coverage linebacker. But he's super aggressive, and you don't want to meet him in the lane because he's just going to bring your guy down. You know what I'm saying? So if they bring someone in, you have to look at the camp battle and kind of look and see what's going on. Dennis also in a contract year. So, who knows? There's a lot to consider, a lot of variables. It's like math, but it's like actual fun math. If you look
right,
at it.
Right. Yeah. If you're paying attention to everything, it's pretty cool. Yeah. This is a lot for me. I'm trying to keep up with you as you're explaining it right now, to be honest with you. But I mean, I like it. It's fun and it's something new to learn. So that, after doing regular standard redraft for 20 plus years, I finally ventured off into Dynasty and IDP. Dynasty 3 years now, and IDP 1 year. So I was always of the belief that if I focus on more than one thing, it's going to take away from the one thing, you know what I mean, that I'm really trying to be good at, which is redraft. But it actually is the opposite. Dynasty makes you better. IDP, definitely, if you can keep up with it all. Now you're seeing all angles, all sides of the game. Only adds to your understanding and expertise and being able to read the tea leaves, like you mentioned earlier, for sure. You can definitely put all the variables together and come up with conclusions for sure. Yeah. Definitely, I should have been doing it the whole time, and I waited way too long. But
it opens up like the other 65% of your TV. So like when you're watching football, like this side, it'll show you got the offense, and then it shows you literally everyone. And the second they call hike, it just zooms in over here. So like you have most of the screen's defense, and then literally it's just linemen until you figure out what's going on, and it's like you're missing 75% of the game at this point. And like tackles and sacks, don't even get me started on the history of that because they weren't even actually written down or considered until like recent years, dude. So it's really upsetting because you have a lot of guys that have been on the other side of the ball that don't nearly get touted as much as these other dudes. And you got quarterbacks on the defensive side of the ball. Like, I don't know. It's crazy to me, man. Like those guys are tenacious. They're insane. They're the ones that don't know what's going on. They have to try to keep up with the schemes because like every 3 years, like we were talking about earlier, you have a constant turnover of schematics, or like there'll be like a new coaching tree that now all these young offensive coordinators are coming out to other teams and they're trying to instill their stuff on someone else's thing. and everyone's just trying to keep up and play catch up. So the defensive players, they have to understand what's going on, all while knowing exactly, the tendencies of the offense. So when you're watching IDP, then it helps you on offense because okay, Amon-Ra is going to line in the slot. I know this slot defender is really nasty, and he's had a lot of good interceptions these last couple of weeks. Maybe they won't put him there. Maybe he'll get more targets from this side, and he's going to have this guy. So it'll show you, different stuff and schematics based on whatever stats or information you actually have.
Yeah, that helps you with the matchups. That also helps you with player props too, for sure. So all good information. So speaking of schematics, what role does a coach's scheme play when evaluating the defensive players? And you can give some examples if you want.
Yeah, sure. So like the Rams have a lot of DBs. They like to rotate and play with mainly like 3 safeties. So that usually means that a linebacker is probably going to come off the field more times than not. So like Nate Landman's pretty much the only primary guy. Now they have other instances where they'll bring out a guy like Omar Speeds or whatever, but he's going to get anywhere from like 20 to like 70 or 60% of snaps in a game. And that's not exactly what you want out of your starting linebacker. At least out of like your first 2 or 3 guys, you want guys that are going to be on the field as much as possible. Because, your best ability is your availability. If you're on the sidelines, you have no chance of getting any points. You know what I mean? So, like the Niners, they have a 2-linebacker system. They have one that normally stays back like a Fred Warner, and he's, the quarterback of the defense. And he can actually shoot the gap. He can play back in coverage. He can do whatever, but he knows what to do in every single play. And then you have the guy next to him, whether that be D. Winters or Dre Greenlaw. We're not really sure yet. I think it's probably going to be Winters with the rotation of Greenlaw just for, like, big status plays, third down, things like that. But you know exactly what that player is going to be doing. They're going to be shooting the gap. They're going to be trying to get more pressures. They're going to be trying to get you more sacks. So they might not get you a 13 tackle game. They'll only get you like a 6 or 7 tackle game, but they might actually get you a sack. They might get you a pass breakup. They might get you some of these added little goodies and stuff, which is just as good. But you can only, you get it from like your LB3 instead of relying on your LB1 to get you just tackle points every week.
Nice. Okay. So going back to the draft, the IDP draft in itself, targeting defensive players, you mentioned make sure it's a lineman if you take it early. So obviously we're talking defensive linemen, linebackers, then defensive backs as far as importance, I suppose.
Yeah, it's give or take though, because I feel like there's levels to it because a defensive back, a guy like Jalen Petrie. He comes in, he plays a bunch of different positions. They find a spot for him, but he actually ends up shattering and being like the best defensive back. So I feel like a defensive back has more of a chance to make an immediate impact, but I feel like they kind of fade out as the time goes on. Now, linebackers, depending on where they go, they'll be fine, but it's kind of in between. They could pop in the first year, they could pop in that third year, but I think that first to third year, you'll really start to understand and know if a guy has the goods or that team believes him or not. Now, edges, they are probably they say the long man's game. You have to wait a year or 2 before you finally know, you'll see the pressures with a guy like Verse, but he hasn't had the sacks yet. You'll see like Latu is supposed to be coming out now. Like it takes a while for these guys to develop. Like Will Anderson came out of college and he was supposed to be amazing, and he ended up becoming amazing. Like he just got one of the biggest bags, if not the biggest bag, I think of like ever, like for a defensive lineman. But I don't know, it just takes more time per se, I think, for a defensive lineman than any of the other positions. So they all have value in a sense, but I don't know. Do you want to spend like a 101 or a 103 and an all IDP draft on a player who I don't know is going to be good for 2 years, or would you rather spend that on a player like I don't know if you're fishing for like a Myles Garrett or something like that? Or Aiden Hutchinson, it's going to end up being one of those first 2 or 3 guys that are coming off the board. So for reference, like linebackers too, Schweinsteiger was taken in the middle of rounds, and so is John Campbell. Well, John Campbell's kind of been put on the back burner. A lot of people on their like dynasty list, it's like Jack Campbell, Carson Schweinsteiger, and then like 20 other guys, and then it's John Campbell. It's like John Campbell's still young, bro. Like Nakobe Dean just went to the Raiders. Like he's got a spot here. Like Zach Bond's still there for sure, but Zach Bond can play green dot where he's talking, telling the plays on the field the whole time, or halfway through the season, they could just give the keys to John Campbell, because you don't draft a linebacker in the first round or like at that back end, I guess the first 10 picks of the second round, the back end of the first round, as I like to call it, because you get teams trying to move and shake out, and there's all this madness. You got guys that are supposed to go 20th overall now going 40th or something, kind of like a Kool-Aid McKinstry. or Cooper DeJean, if you will. But yeah, I don't know. Every position has its value point. It just depends on where a team has them. Now you can get a guy who you think is amazing. Like I like Malachi Lawrence. He could play outside, or he could play like a four tech to where he can twist inside or twist outside, or he could be, a down or a rusher, but he's a little bit older. But if he goes to a line, or I guess a room to where, I don't know, like Houston or something, right? Let's say they take him because Daniel Hunter's leaving next year. Well, he's not going to have, I mean, he'll develop and stuff, but he's not going to have as great of a year as, say, someone like a Bailey who could be picked second overall to the Jets, because the Jets have, I don't know, like Will McDonald and Clemens, you know what I mean? Like they have a lot more opportunity there. So that's something you have to look at as well.
Okay. So as far as like points, total points that these players contribute to your lineup, is it always when you're making your lineup decision, are you always making an upside play, or are there guys that provide consistent floors? Is like defensive linemen can have spike weeks, more consistent spike weeks than defensive backs. We know that. Mm-hmm. But like when you have a lineup decision, is it like when you're putting your build together, are you going all upside? Is there a balance there? You want some consistency, you want or because obviously your offensive players are going to come into play as well. If you drafted a really good offense, or you made a couple of free agent moves during the season, and you solidified your offense, you can obviously take more chances with your defensive players and really chase upside. But just in general, when you're putting together a build of say you need a linebacker, a lineman, a defensive back, and then 3 flex. How much upside to floor do you want to have? Is basically what I'm asking you.
Yeah, so if it's like a best ball or something, I'm trying to max, as the kids say. I think that's what they say. You max it. I'm trying to max my my upside. But a friend of the sports affiliation, Bob Long, he has a consistency guide for offense. So that kind of made me think. Right. I'm looking in the offseason at the guys who are the most consistent, the linebackers that are doing the most on a regular average basis. Not essentially the bigger names, but the guys that are doing the most. You look at that, and then you look at the past couple of years. I know, even me as an analyst, I'm like, don't look at the last year's stats, blah, blah, blah. However, if you got a defensive coordinator that's been somewhere for 3 or 4 years, then you can kind of look at the LB2 there, regardless of who it is, and get an estimate of production, see the floors, the highs and lows, see how they're used in that scheme. So I guess it kind of comes back to that. But what I like to do is, we'll say if I'm supposed to have 3 defensive linemen, my DL1, I want to have just like my anchor. It's got to be, I don't know, I keep saying Garrett, Verse, maybe Bosa. He's kind of in the back end years, not quite ready to move him to DL2, but he's got injuries kind of not piling up. All right, anyways, I digress. My number 2 guy, now this is kind of where the drafting comes into play, I guess. If I'm drafting linebackers early, then I might have no choice but to sit there and be like, well, I got to go on a guy who could possibly have high upside this year. And I'm going to put him at my DL2 position. Now, my DL3, I'm putting an offensive tackle there like DeForest Buckner or something that gets no love. Or, there's a guy for, oh my gosh, I forgot his name. He's from the Panthers. Anyways, you get some of these guys that are completely forgotten about, but gobble up tackles, then you have a consistency guy, and then you have a guy who could have a high or a low floor, just depending. But I at least like to have one of the 3 positions, have a tackle guy. Then I have a sack guy. Then I have a guy that can do both. And at least if I get burnt by one of those guys, then I'll be good at hopefully in 2 of them, we can never – it's kind of like predicting the weather, dude. You can look outside and be like, it's not going to rain today. And then you open up your window, you start doing your dishes, you're like, smells like it's about to rain. What is going on? And then it starts raining, Everything looks good right after draft day. It's kind of how you stay with the seas of cheese on the ocean that is fantasy football as you go along. But I don't know. I don't like to play it like super upside. That freaks me out. I have anxiety, so no thanks.
Nice. When it comes to lineup decisions week to week, what are some of the tiebreakers that go into start-sit decisions? Like when is it right to bench a guy that you usually start? Like how can you explain a a situation where you would bench and play a different matchup?
I would say, I don't know, maybe look at the defensive tackles, right? You get a guy that tackles a lot. You got linebackers that are on hot streaks, so you don't really have to worry about tackles. You're like, you know what? I want to play an upside guy. So you go and you look at the offensive line and on the team that, I don't know, the players that you have or that are in the free agency pool and see which guards or which tackles are giving up the most sacks, which guys are on cold streaks, which quarterbacks are seeing happy feet. Now, obviously, interceptions are relative, and you can't just sit here and be like, Sam Darnold's going to throw 3 today, and he's going to throw none next week, and he's going to throw 1 the week after. Like, you don't know that. But you can look at trends, see how guys are being used in the offense. And honestly, just watching football, you can see the mental state of players and just coaching and how people wear their emotions on their pads in a sense. You know, you can tell when a player's frustrated when they give it up. You can tell when a player's about to make a comeback, or, you know, you can tell when you can't count a guy out or something like that. So there's, I don't know, I just go back to the same answer. There's so many variables. You just got to keep your eyes open everywhere. Have eyes in the back of your head and the sides, dude.
Nice. All right. So the NFL draft is only a couple of days away. Give us 3 defensive rookies that you like from this year's class. You can talk about each one real briefly if you want.
Yeah. So I like Caleb Bates, the defensive back from OSU. I think he can really play in a multitude of positions, probably anything but outside corner. He can come down, maybe not like lay the lumber, but he's not afraid to get jiggy with it as far as bringing down the ball carrier. Super smart player. I think he could possibly go, maybe not top 5, but definitely top 10. I can see a team moving up probably to like 6 or 8 to get him. I don't have a team sheet in front of me, so I don't know what teams are willing to move out. But, yeah, I don't know. Anything past the top 5 would not shake me at all. Now, I like Malachi Lawrence out of UCF. He's my edge one. I talked about it a little bit earlier. He can play in a multitude of positions. He's a little bit older, more seasoned, but, dude, he is really, really good. His measurables are okay. A guy like Ruben Bain getting talked because he has shorter arms, but that's not really his game. So I'm curious to see kind of what he does. Linebacker out of Missouri, Josiah Trotter. This guy does everything but call plays. So that's kind of what I'm worried about with him is can he handle that role at the next level? Because I don't think the NFL has a shoot-the-gap linebacker problem. I think it has a middle linebacker green dot problem as well as like covering, I don't know, outside to inside guys. Even running backs are getting crafty, splitting out nowadays. So you got to have a guy that's good in coverage. He's not that. But a guy who I really like that I think is good at that, but not the most athletic at the combine is Aiden Fisher out of Oklahoma. Won a championship this year. So he definitely knows how to lead, be a part of the action, win and lose. I think he's been both sides of it. Another guy, Bud Clark out of TCU, safety. He's a little bit undersized, though, but he can play deep. He can play in the box. So I think he could end up sticking on a roster, maybe like 4th round, 5th round. And then I can sit here all day and talk players. I got a podcast after this. I'm doing the same thing. But I'm super excited to sit here and get into it. I'm going to be writing about the Buccaneers for it. So really got into those edge players, those linebackers, a couple safeties. But it's hard to find all 22 film if you're not like in the all 22. So scouting corners and safeties is sometimes a challenge, but, you know, we get it done.
Nice. All right. You kind of touched on it earlier. The rookie defensive players, are they to be consistent enough to bring year one fantasy football value to your lineup? You basically said it's all about opportunity, more so than the talent. But obviously, talent helps as well. But yeah, it's landing spot. It's getting the opportunity and being around the ball. Right? Yeah.
So, like for instance, the Colts. If they draft a linebacker in round 5 and that's the only one they draft, I'm going to be looking at him because I think Akeem Davis-Gaither is like their LB1 right now. And that's, I mean, nothing against him, but like that's not very like future looking. So if that's the only guy that's going there, at some point they're going to kick the tires on him and throw him out there, you know. But a guy like that, you'll probably end up putting in like your taxi squad, so you don't have to take out an extra roster spot or what have you. You just keep your eye on them in the waiver, and if you see they're getting the nod, then maybe cut off a back end wide receiver 4 that you have. Hopefully, if you have a deeper roster or something like that, add him in and see how he does. But IDPs, it's tough when you have conjoined leagues because a lot of I don't know. I don't want to put them in a glass case. Some commissioners don't really see IDP as an equal part of the game. They see it as an add-on, like a kicker or something, DST, something like that. So it's kind of like pushed to the side. You don't get the extra roster spots. You don't get the extra stuff for it. So You got to know your league. You got to know your scoring. You have to know your roster construction.
Absolutely. That is probably the most important thing of any contest that you enter is knowing the format and the scoring system and how you can exploit it, to the best of your ability. Mm-hmm. Let's see. We're almost at an hour here, so we got a couple things left. Give us excuse me. Give us 3 flag plant defensive players you're in on in 2026 redraft IDP leagues and why.
It's really hard to flag plant in April, like the draft.
I know.
So like, there's a guy that I might like I don't know. I'll just say Alex Anzalone because I write for Bucks. There could be a guy that comes into town, they draft in the first round, and
I know
Rodriguez that starts for him. But I'll just say 3 linebackers I'm looking forward to as of right now. Malcolm Rodriguez, linebacker for the Detroit Lions. He's been there a couple of years. He knows the system. Finally gets his chance in a full-time Bravo role with Campbell. Peyton Wilson, I think it's his year to step up. He's definitely going to show Pittsburgh what he's made of. Let's see. Oh, my gosh. I had another one, but I totally spaced. Oh, Leo Chenal, Washington Commanders, man. He finally gets a nod, gets a full-time role. Excited to see how he does next to Frankie Louvu, though I think Louvu might be on hot water. Because I don't know. That entire team, man, like they have some pieces and stuff on offense too, and Scary Terry and Daniels, but just, I don't know, their makeup doesn't really feel right. I don't really know what direction they're going in. They've kind of just been going lateral the last few years. So I'm excited to kind of see Dan Quinn's a defensive-minded coach, so I'm excited to kind of see what he's building there. They're going to need more than Dorrance Armstrong off the outside, though, I can tell you that.
I agree with that. I got weird bad vibes up from Washington as well, and this is a team that you know how you mentioned your mom has 2 teams. I'm not saying I have 2 teams, but I have always liked the Washington.
Yeah, you're keeping an eye on them. You got respect for them. I feel it.
Yeah. I'm always rooting for them to do good, and I'm feeling the bad vibes as well. I even traded Jaden Daniels away in a Superflex Dynasty League. Sold them high now before it gets ugly, and so I'm kind of on that with you. So I like that.
and honestly, it's not even Daniels just being bad. I think he's good. It's just they're not surrounding him with, I think, enough. They're not giving him enough, and I don't know, man. I just hope he doesn't get hurt. I don't think he's going. I don't just assume he's going to, but I hope they can keep him upright because he's really good.
It's a tough division too. Dallas is always going to be spending money to get players. Giants are getting better. Yep. Eagles are still Super Bowl contenders. Yeah.
I hate to say it, they're a really good team, and they're really good at drafting. So, dude, if they trade up and get just a falling future star again, I'm gonna lose it, bro. Always crashing out. My Philly fans love it. My boy Dion, shout out to him. He goes crazy whenever I freak out over Philly. He loves
it. Nice. All right. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping better things for Philly. Well, we'll see what happens if they trade AJ, if they give us AJ Brown.
Hey, what do you think about that?
I'm down as long as we don't have to give up a first round pick, but that's going to be tough.
Tell you. It's going to be a 27 first probably, bro, or a 28.
He's going to be good if the trade happens. He's it's not like he's. He was still score. He could still score 2 touchdowns in any given game.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's a really good. I mean, you need a wide receiver 1. You guys have a bunch of Bravos. I feel like a bunch of B guys there.
He was the first wide receiver to consistently produce from Tennessee. And now he's on a good team, and he could be traded to another team with a ascending franchise quarterback. I mean,
hopefully,
yeah, I'm hoping for it, and I don't think Dobbs should get stuck in the shitter if it happens. Yeah. Dobbs has always been a touchdown dependent fantasy asset, and he'll continue to be that. But I could see AJ Brown and Dobbs in a full 17 game schedule. I think Dobbs could get 8 touchdowns.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah, that's not out of the question at all. But I think for a player like him, he needs an alpha wide receiver to help benefit.
Yes, I agree. I think it would work well. Like to see Trevion Henderson get more involved, but yeah.
Sure.
In year two, so it's going to be interesting. Buffalo stepped it up. They went out, got DJ Moore. They're only going to get better in the draft too. I have a feeling that they're going to add offensive players in the draft. So we'll see. It's going to be good. Looking forward to the draft. Mace, this has been a great show. It's, can't wait for Thursday night, Friday, throughout the weekend. We'll be getting maybe we'll get some big, one or two big trades. We'll see. But one thing's for sure is it's always unpredictable. It's never the way we expect it's going to happen. Teams do weird shit, and we're like, wow, what just happened? So
I'm hoping for some splash trades, man. I think there's like 15 to 17 players who have first round grades. So we'll see how it goes. And I'm excited.
Good time to be making dynasty trades.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Draft night, it's hopping and popping. You got to ride the waves in your dynasty league. I don't know. I've had one draft before, and I have a couple that are going after. I like to do it before because obviously I'm doing research. I have my guys that I want, but landing spot dictates everything. So as long as you're looking at the rosters and stuff, hopefully you can come out with some good picks.
Nice. All right, man. So why don't you tell the folks where they can find you and all your work?
Yeah, mainly on Twitter at CaliKing49er17. I'm a writer for Buckswire USA Today, IDP writer of the Sports Affiliation, rankings on Fantasy Pros and Fantasy and Frames, and I write for Fantasy and Frames as well. So a little bit of everything and everywhere. So thanks for having me on, Joe. I appreciate it, man. It was fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man. My head is spinning, by the way, with all it really is. I don't know that many, like, you're way ahead of me. You mentioned like at least four or five defensive players I don't even know. So
right on.
This is good. No, this is good. This is why I had you on, man. I'm glad we got to chop it up a little bit and get to know your fantasy history, how much of a degenerate you are, just like the rest of us. Studying the game, like you said, as you're sitting in your bed throwing the ball up and down. So I know that mind frame. So yeah, absolutely, it was a pleasure. We're gonna get out of here. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. If you're not subscribed to the Sports Affiliation, we got, content almost every single day. I think every single day, actually. I know JC mentioned something about doing draft and mock draft Mondays coming back. Draft is after dark. And we're going to be I think there was some talks about IDP too. Didn't IDP Pelton want to do an IDP draft with us?
He's hosting one with a bunch of the names in the space, and I think he wants another one. I don't know. I'm not sure.
So I think there might be an IDP best ball $5 drafters or something like that. There was something to that effect, but done on drafters. So that let you guys know about that too. I think that's all I got, man. Mace, thanks again, and everybody have a good night.